Good morning. It's already been a morning. It just keeps happening. But how is everyone? I hope we're good. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Mine was very eventful. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I'm done. I'm done with it. But yeah, today we're going to start the gloves, and I think they're going to be so good. So we're actually going to take 2 days for the gloves, I think. We'll see how much we get done today. Because the fact of the matter is that they are very small. Okay, so they're not, they're not very big gloves. So we're going to have to use less strands, but also we're going to use 4 different stitches to stitch the gloves. So I don't want to overwhelm you too much because I know on Friday we did all of the leaves together and it was fine. I didn't feel like it was too much, but some of these are a little bit fiddly, meaning that you have to be a little bit careful with how you do it. So I don't want to put too much on you at one time. So we'll just see what happens. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to zoom in here and I think we're going to do, I'm fine, Hannah, I promise. If you missed it, David was putting the cushions in the attic, or as you guys call it, the loft, and stuck his foot through the ceiling. So I had done the whole baby's room like in the summer holiday, so that I didn't have to worry about it in like the busiest time of the year for me, which is right now. And I've got like 2 weeks to do the advent calendar things and get those sorted. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. And everything was ordered. We're just waiting for things to arrive. We were looking pretty. And yeah, David just got frustrated and stuck his foot through the ceiling. So yeah, so we've had to put everything away and clean it all up. But everything's fine, okay? I promise. I'm all right. Had a little meltdown yesterday, but it'll be fine. It'll all be fine. So I'm going to zoom in. Let's get started. So the 4 stitches that we're going to use are let's see if I can remember them because one of them is a little bit tricky. So we've got the X's are going to be cross stitch. Easy peasy, yeah. Go all right or left and then go all left and they'll be finished. We've got a whipped back stitch, which is super fun. Looks a little bit like the stem stitch, but is a little bit more faffy because you have to stitch it first and then go back and stitch it again. We've got the laced back stitch. So it's just like the back stitch, except you're gonna go every other way. So that's gonna be quite fun too. And then we have the, I haven't actually found the perfect name for this stitch because I saw it once and I can't remember where I saw it. And I'm sure it was like a stitch dictionary or something like that. And it's 2 rows of back stitch and then this just gets woven between them. So maybe this is like an interlaced double back stitch or something like that. Or I can't remember. But I searched for it all weekend and can't find where I found it. So I don't know. So we'll just work our way through and see how far we get. And it might be that we teach the stitches today and tomorrow we just do the same stitches, but we just split it in 2 days. We'll see. We'll see how far we get, like I said, because I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't know why this thread is not separating very well. Good morning. Good morning. Having some technical difficulties here with the thread. But I picked a really nice like cream color because we're going to have a lot of texture in the, what's it called? In the mittens. So there's going to be a lot of different like things going on. So something like a variegated thread would be really cute, or just all one color, or you could pick different colors for different stitches to make them like almost like stripes, something like that. Could be really fun. So now there's a knot in the middle. Guys, I'm determined to make this work, okay? It's all gonna be fine. Don't worry. All right, here we go. So we're gonna start the very top with the laced backstitch. So first you need to do a backstitch. And again, this is where you need to sort your lines if they're not straight how you want them, or if they don't look how you want them to look. This is where you need to fix them first, because whatever you stitch on here, that's gonna stay, okay? So here we go. We're gonna do a regular backstitch at the top. This is the laced backstitch. And it's very similar. I'm just gonna end up doing maybe 4 stitches here. It's like the most simple. Hopefully you guys can see the color I've picked here. So I'm gonna err on the side of really small stitches. Let me know if you want me to zoom in a bit more, because actually this color I've picked is like the same color as the fabric. And I might have to just change it and make it a little bit darker so that you can see it. So let me know real quick if it's not gonna work, because if you can't see the stitches, there's no point, Can you see that? Or should I change to like a lighter brown or something? Like a purpley gray. I'm not asking for advice on color. I just want to make sure you can see it. Darker, please. Okay, let me just do that real quick. Because in my mind, the cream is going to be so pretty, but if you can't see the stitches, then there's no point. So we're doing 3 strands for this. I don't actually think I said it. I was too busy trying to get the knots out. So it's 3 strands. Thank you for telling me, because I really want you to be able to see what we're doing. Because like I said, some of them are a little bit, how about a gray color? How do we feel about gray? Can you see that better? Maybe this one? Because there's really no point in me doing the stitches if you can't actually see what I'm doing. Is this one better? A nice gray color? Okay, let me separate these real quick. I'm so sorry. I thought for sure it would be a big enough contrast on here, but when you have less strands, the color is less vibrant. So I think I just forgot to say it actually, because I had a big knot in my thread, so I was trying to sort that out. But it'll all be okay. I'm manifesting, right? Isn't that what people do these days? They like manifest what they want or whatever. It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. As I'm like having a mini breakdown on the screen 10 minutes into my video. Okay, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna do a back stitch. I'm gonna try to do 4 stitches here. And a back stitch, just a regular back stitch. So you're gonna go forward like this. Yeah. And then your next stitch is gonna go a little bit forward and then back down here. No, so for the gloves is just whatever you decide. For this scarf here, you need 4 different colors. Okay. So here, for this one, for the grid, you're gonna need the 4 different colors. For this, it's just whatever you wanna do. So you can do all one color if you want, because there's gonna be a lot of different textures. You could do like a one color for each stitch if you wanted, so that it'll end up being like lines or stripes or something like that. Or you can just, half, like the top half We love you too. Love you guys. Okay, so this is the first part. The first part is the backstitch, just a regular backstitch. Okay, so after you've done that, this is where you get the laced part. So we're going to come up at the very end. And just like the whipped backstitch, instead of always going the same direction, we're going to go up underneath one stitch and then down underneath the next stitch, and then up underneath the next stitch, and then down underneath the next stitch. Okay, so let me show you. And you can start to go up first, or you can start to go down first. It doesn't matter. We're just going to alternate. Okay. And we don't want to pull too tight. We want it to be a little loop there. And then back down. Whoops. Okay. Can you tell? And then when you're done, you just go right back down at the beginning. So the key to this one is going to be not pulling it too tight. And you're going to get these, it's going to be like a wavy line. Okay? The laced backstitch. Now the next one is a whipped backstitch. And it's exactly the same, except instead of going up and then down, you're going to go up or down through each one. So it doesn't matter if you go up underneath each stitch or down underneath each stitch, but you're going to go the same direction the entire time. Okay. So what I think we'll end up doing is just doing them one by one until like line by line. And then when it gets to be like 40 minutes, I'll just be like, okay, we're done. Okay, so let's go back and we'll do the same back stitch. The same start, a lot of back stitch with this one. It's almost like a back stitch family. And I might do 5 stitches on this one because it's a little bit longer of a line. And don't worry about the outline. We'll do that later, okay? So don't worry about any of that. Just try and get it to the very end of the line to make sure that we keep the same, you know, you don't want one to be way out here and the other one to be kind of shorter. We want it to be the shape of the glove. But don't worry if like one has more stitches than the other, if that makes sense. Okay, so just the same as before with one small change. I'm going to put mine down, facing down, because I don't want to go up and snag any of these stitches. So we go down. And that's just personal preference, okay? If you want to slide your needle up through each one, then you can slide your needle up. And remember, we're not going through the stitches, we're going under the stitches. Okay, now again. So remember last time we did down, then up, then down, then up. This time you're going to pick a direction and do it the same way the whole time. And what this ends up doing, I'm not sure if you can see it so well, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, and the whipped back stitch makes a little piece of thread in the very center where these stitches where you went down. So instead of being able to see each individual stitch, you're just going to see a ropey looking line. So it's perfect if you want to like hide your stitches or if you want just like a nice smooth finish, something like that. It also looks really similar to the stem stitch. So if you're thinking, oh, whipped backstitch would be beautiful here, but you've already done a bunch of stitching, then a stem stitch would be perfect, because with the whipped backstitch, you have to stitch it and then stitch it again. Yeah? So you're kind of stitching your line and then going back on yourself. Now what I like to do as well is give it a little tug, and it just straightens out any of those loose threads. And we're going to go right back down at the beginning where we started. Okay, so we've got the laced backstitch, okay, and the whipped backstitch. How are you doing? Are we good? Okay, now we've got the cross stitch. Now this is where you might want to sort out your X's, because I just kind of did mine all willy-nilly here. But if you want to kind of sort them out and make them a bit more like in the center of the line maybe, or a little bit bigger, or a little bit smaller. Can I get one more there? Probably. Then this is the time to do it, okay? Because you really don't want to have stitch something and then you're like, oh, whoa, I'm not even allowed to drink and it's looking drunk. Okay, so with the cross stitches, some people do an X all at once, meaning they go like left to right on a slant, and then right to left on a slant, and then right to, you know what I mean? They do kind of both at the same time. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Some people like to do all of the one kind of slant first, and then go back and do all of the other kind of slant second. Okay, so whatever way you decide is okay. I'm going to try and put the X's so they're like connected to each other. If you want to, you don't have to make them connected. And I'll show you how what I mean by that as well. So kind of like you've got your X, and like the next one would start in the same hole that your other one ended in. But you could also leave a little space between and make them not connected. So I'm doing all of the left to rights first. Let's put this right on the edge there. Okay, and now I'm going to go up and do all of the right to lefts so that they all have an X on them. And mine are going to go in the same hole as the bottom of this X. So the top one will go through the top hole here, and the bottom one will go through the bottom hole here. Do you see what I mean? Now, there's no shame if you're like, I don't like how they're connected. I want there to be a space between each one. You can make a space between each one. That's totally fine. I'm nodding like you can see me, Emily. Thank you. Thank you for participating. This is where I wish I had one of those like fancy setups, you know, where you can like see my face and I can see your face, like a Zoom type situation, you know, where we can like see each other and like I can see you nodding or being like, no, I'm confused. And then I could like swap between like my face on the camera and the actual stitching. You know, some people got such fancy setups and everything. And I'm over here like, okay, we got it. What do we think so far? I think it's going to look so good. All right, so the next one, we're going to go back to the whipped backstitch, and that's this one here. So it's almost like laced, then whipped, then cross stitch, then whipped, then laced. So it would be like exactly the same, but flip-flopped, okay? Hi, George. Amelia says it would be nice to do a group Zoom. It really would. Maybe I'll set one up. So we've got the exact same as we did before, whipped. How did you come up with the design for the gloves? Honestly, I just thought of a Christmas sweater pattern, like if I could do like a Christmas sweater, what kinds of stitches would I use to make like a different, like to make them look like they're kind of not knitted, because that's not the right word. But I wanted there to be a lot of different texture in them. So I thought, well, what kinds of stitches show like a really fun texture, aren't super difficult to do, because remember, this is a beginner's stitch along. So I'm assuming that there are people here who've never stitched before or have only stitched a little bit, or maybe this is their very first stitch along, and you don't want to be overwhelming. So you don't want to be like bang right out the gates with like, oh, okay, we're going to do like something super difficult. So it has to be simple stitches. Let's just tighten that up a little bit. Right back down. So it has to be simple stitches that when you put them together, they look way more difficult than they are. So just like the bag of flowers stitch along, if you remember how the bag was like woven like that. Yeah, that's kind of how I decided. The next one is the same as this one. So it's only these 4 stitches. Now, if you don't want to do one of the stitches, you can always substitute it for something else. So if you wanted to just do like a running stitch, and a running stitch looks just like this. It's just little stitches in a row. You could do something like that if you wanted to like break it up a little bit. It's completely up to you. Again, these are your gloves. So if you kind of think, oh, I didn't like the look of that one, then you can always change it if you're not too sure, or if you feel like it would be a bit too much or whatever. So yeah, it's just simple stitches that you can put them together and then make something that looks way more complicated than it is. Because to be fair, these are not hard stitches. Do you know what I mean? Like cross stitch, there's a whole subcategory of embroidery that's cross stitch where you make pictures with X's. That's all it is. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that these people are not talented, because oh my God, they are. I could never do that. But that's the only stitch that they use. So it's not a difficult stitch. Sometimes it's what you do with the stitches is what makes it difficult or easy or intricate or complicated or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what sets everyone apart so much, is that we all use the same stitches. They're not particularly difficult if you look at just the one stitch, but it's how you put them together and kind of what you want it to look like is what makes it so, interesting and fun. I'm always stunned at how you can bring your vision to life so well. Oh, thank you. Oh, I feel like I need to screenshot that. That's really nice. And I'm not lying. I do, whenever someone sends me a nice message, I screenshot it and keep it for later. Oh no, I messed up. Did you see how I messed up? This right here is supposed to be the laced one, not the whipped one. So we need to take that out. Remember, you go up, then down, then up, then down. Not all the same way. So it went down first. Now we need to go up. Whew, good thing I caught that. I was like, no. Stop it. I love when we make sweaters or gloves or other yarn things. It looks so good. Oh, thank you. The texture this time of year, like I can't get enough of like the texture. And I think it's so like a personal, because some people do not like it. They don't like the texture. They don't like having like conflicting textures next to each other, you know? So even things like a woven wagon wheel rose, where it's really up off the fabric. Some people really don't like that. And especially if there's only like one part of it that's 3D, people go, not for me. I can't. They just can't handle it. It just doesn't gel with them, you know? And that's totally okay. And other people, they just love all the textures. And sometimes they go a little overboard and they put too much in. And you're just like, I don't know where to look. There's too much going on here. So it just depends on what you like. And that's why I always try and put a lot of different stitches in, because then you can really try different things and you get to know, do I like that stitch? Do I not like that stitch? Is it fun? Is it not so fun? I don't know. Like, well, you'll just have to see. Okay, so we've got that done so far. The next one, this is the one that I said I'm not quite sure what the actual name of it is, but I saw it somewhere and I thought, oh, that's so clever. And what we're going to do is do 2 rows of backstitch, and they're going to be offset, okay? So if you see the loops, that's about how long our stitches are going to be, because we're going to slide our needle underneath the stitches and go around where the stitches are. So let me just get that paper, or a paper, because I'm sure I've lost it by now with everything going on. And I'm just going to draw it for you really quickly, because this is how it gets a little bit confusing, okay? So this is how it goes. We're going to do 2 rows of backstitch, and they're going to be offset. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. I don't know. There might be 3. There might be 5. I don't know. But however many that we've got. And the next one, you want the loop not to be right next to it. So you're going to do a half stitch, okay? And then a full stitch, full stitch, full stitch. So kind of like you want them to be right in the middle. And a half. So they're going to be offset, okay? Then we're going to come up here, wherever you started your full one, and then we're going to go to this one underneath, loop it around, and come to this one underneath, loop it around, this one underneath, loop it around, this one underneath, loop it around. Okay, so it gets that loop look to it. And what's going to happen is that you're just going to be sliding these underneath here. So you kind of want to go to the next one, not the one above it, but kind of the next one. And that's why they have to be offset like this. Okay, so let me show you. I always wonder if this actually is going to make sense or not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm just thinking if I want to start at the very end and make the thumb also have this pattern or not. I suppose I could, and then I don't have to do anything else there. What's the name of the stitch? So I've just said I'm not quite sure what the name of the stitch is, because I saw it somewhere and I thought that would be perfect for this. And I've tried to use it in like 4 different patterns between here, but I can't find what the name is. And I can't find any that actually make sense. So it's like a interlaced backstitch band or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not quite sure. There we go. That makes more sense to me now. Okay, so every loop that you've got is going to be another stitch. Don't laugh at me, Mel. I've been looking since I made the pattern to try and find something like exactly like it. And I actually even bought the stitch dictionary that some people have, thinking that it would probably be in there. And I can't find anything. I did not make this stitch up, okay? I promise you. I'm not that clever. I can't do that. But it's like a little bit like other stitches. So you've got the back stitch, two rows, like a band, okay? The back stitch is offset. And then we've got this like interlaced kind of effect. So if you find it, if you know what I'm talking about, tell me so I can put a name to this one. Because I've looked at a bunch of them. Another one is like Sarah's handmade embroidery or hand embroidery or something like that. Yeah, like it would be cool to have your own stitch, but like I definitely did not make this up. I'm not, like I said, I'm not that clever. Okay, so let's do the next band. And the next band is also going to be a backstitch. Interlacing band. It honestly, it might be. It might be. When we did the bag of flowers, I'm pretty sure that was an interlacing backstitch, but that was one, and you did two circles around it. I think it's in there. I'll look it up later. I'm looking at the DK Stitch Dictionary, page 63. I think I have that. I think that's the Stitch Dictionary that I got. If it looks like it, it might be it. And that might be where I got it from. But I swear I saw it somewhere. And I was like, I gotta use that. 63, Tori. Interlacing band. Yes. There. She found it. Kate, you're amazing. That's what it's called. The interlacing band. Which, to be fair to me, I said all of the words. I just didn't make them go together. Oh, okay. So we're going to go halfway here. In the middle. Okay, and then from here in the middle. Because I did say interlacing. I did say band. I said backstitch. I said double rowed something. I was sure I had seen it before. But I bought that book. And some of it is really good. Some of it is a little bit like I would never use those stitches. Just because I don't do that kind of work. You know, like some of like the lacing techniques or cross stitch techniques, especially in the back. Like where you take out some of the fabric, you know, open work. Some of those, like I probably wouldn't ever use. This is the DK, it's called Embroidery Stitches Step by Step. But yeah, I bought that because I was like, I should have a book. I should have an embroidery book. I should just make my own. I should make my own embroidery book. You heard it here first, people. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to go right back up here. Yes, definitely you should. I don't even know what I would write about, really. And remember, we're going to go across and underneath. So these are all kind of like whipped stitches. Okay. And then down here, and you can go either on top or underneath. I always find it easier to go underneath this one here. But we're going to go all the way over to this one. So from here to this one, underneath. And you might have to do it not just in one go. You might have to do it in 2 goes, okay? So that's what we have so far. Now we're going to go back under this one and go to this one. Okay, so we're kind of following the line of the loops. So this is good if you made your loops very easily, like if you trace them properly. But if you're like me and you didn't, then you might have to make it up a little bit. And remember, we're not pulling so tight here. We're just leaving it loose so that we can see those loops like that. So we've gone up here, and we're going back down under this one. Okay, so it's like a very extreme angle here. So you've got your stitch here and your stitch here. We're not going through the threads, we're going under the threads. And that's the same for every single stitch we've done. You're not going through any threads, you're going underneath the threads, not in the fabric, not through the threads. You're just sliding your needle through it. I know we've done a lot today, and I'm sorry. Sorry for that. But I've got 2 days for this, and I thought it would be really confusing to try and go this line, this line, this line, this line are back stitch, and this line, this line, this line, and this line are the other stitch. So I thought we'll just go from top to bottom. Once we know how we're doing it, you know, then it'll be quicker tomorrow. And if you didn't trace them properly, it's okay. Like, that's completely fine. All you're looking for when you do your back stitches is you're making them offset. So we'll make them a little bit bigger and you can see what I mean. So you've got 1, 2, 3 on the top. The bottom should be a half, a long one, and a half. Yeah? And we always start with the full stitch. So if you've got a little half stitch here, then that means you start on the top. If you've got a half stitch on the top, then you need to start at the bottom. Okay, so you're going cross, around, and then to this one, around, then to that one, around, to that one, around, that one, around, and end. Okay, so hopefully even if you didn't trace them properly, if you know how the pattern goes, then it shouldn't be too bad, I'm hoping. These stitches always make me really nervous when I teach them because I really want everyone to be successful, and it makes me feel like I have to be very, very clear because I really don't want anyone to be like throwing their hoop across the room like, screw this, I can't do it, because I feel like everyone can do it, I promise you. Just take it slowly, and if you don't finish today and you don't finish tomorrow, then you don't finish it. It's okay. All right? You've got the entire weekend, and when the Stitchalong finishes, you have all the time after the Stitchalong finishes. You do not have to finish at the same time that like the Stitchalong finishes, you know? Okay, I've got my last one almost. Got my half stitch here. Then I've got just this very last one I need to go around. Oh, okay, we did it. What do we think? We did it. I feel so proud. I'm like literally dripping in sweat because I'm like, I hope everybody gets it. Okay, so this one here, we're going to do the exact same thing. I know it's been 40 minutes, but I'm just going to keep going. We're going to do the exact same thing here. So whatever you see on the top, that's what you're going to do on the bottom. Okay? So we'll go back to the laced backstitch. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel says it looks amazing. Hannah says very cute. Mel says love. Okay, good. I'm like, I get so invested in these, you know, because like I want everyone to do so well. And I'm always so proud when everyone does them. Well, let's not do that. When everyone like does them and they turn out right and like, oh, it makes me so proud of everyone. I will say that make sure when you're doing these that you have enough thread to do the whipping part. So if you get to here to do the interlaced part, you know, the twirly whirlies, and you've only got like this much thread left, make a knot and get a new piece because you don't want to run out of thread in the middle of your lacing part. Okay, now remember this one was the laced backstitch. How was the dentist? The dentist was okay. Although he did like cut up the corner of my mouth quite a bit and it's taking a long time to heal. I know he only did it Thursday. But I'm not very happy about it because like the inside of my mouth is quite raw still in the corner. I have got a small mouth, okay? Every dentist says like open bigger and I'm like, it's open as big as it can get, I promise you. And yeah, so I've got that like, I've got like he's like skinned off like a section of the corner of my mouth. So that was not good. But everything else is fine. Tomorrow I have to go get the whooping cough. Sorry, people in the UK call it a whooping cough. But in America, we call it the whooping cough vaccine. And I'm freaked out about that because I can't do needles either. So just like giving blood. I don't know what it is, but freaks me out. So I've got my numbing cream and I can put that on there. Yes, even for a vaccination, I'm going to put numbing cream on because I'm basically a small child. Now, if you pull too hard like I just did, you're going to have to go back and like kind of faff a little bit. All right. And then the next one, we've got the regular whipped backstitch. So it's just a straight line. And that's kind of what I mean by if you don't like how these look so close to this guy, because this guy here is quite thick. It's a band. And then you've also got these ones here. And if you feel like it's just a little bit too much altogether, then you can always substitute some of these stitches for other things. So maybe you can use the top one for the very top and maybe the very bottom, or the very top and, you know, you can switch it up a little bit if you feel like actually I don't like the way it looks. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not going to get upset or like mad or anything like that if you want to change it. Like it's completely okay. So don't feel like, oh, I can't change it because she's going to get angry, or like, oh, it's her pattern. And no, if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. Change it. if it looks a bit too, you know, like clustered or too busy in that area, then just change it. Oh, so where you're from, it is whooping. Yeah, around here it's whooping cough. And I say whooping cough, like whooping cough, because that's what it is. Like if you were to say whoop, WHOOP, like whoop, there it is, you know? But hey, different strokes for different folks. But my mother-in-law, she always makes fun of me because she's like, it's not whooping, it's hooping. I'm like, it's not hooping, is it? Because there's a W in there. We always have a laugh about how things are pronounced differently, though. So I've got that tomorrow. So that'll be fun. Are you in a posh area? Well, she is from Solihull, so maybe. I don't know. It's south of Birmingham. Apparently, it's a very big retiree place. Lots of retirees are here. So maybe. Whooping cough. Yeah, I'm always like, no, definitely whooping. Okay, I'm going to stop there because, one, I need to get some more thread if I'm going to do any more. But I feel like that's good. So all we've got left for this one is the cross stitch. If you want to, like, you know, get more jobs done today, like if you're not finished stitching right now. So we've got the cross stitch, which we did up here. Okay, then we've got another whipped back stitch. And then this outline here, leave that. I'll make it in blue, so hopefully you can see it. So this right here is what I mean. Because this is going to be the outline, and it needs to be all one shape. Same with this one. Okay. Then we have this one here. If you like the laced back stitch, you can do that. Then we've got the band that we did here. Then we have the laced back stitch again. So we're kind of doing a bit of a pattern. Yeah, like it's a mirror pattern. So you've got something in the middle and then the same on the top and bottom, the same on the top and bottom, same as this one. We've got the band, then we've got the same on the top and bottom. So hopefully that makes sense. This one here is going to be exactly the same pattern and everything because they're mittens and they look the same. So if you like how it looks, then you can continue and whatever, but we are going to finish the rest of the mittens tomorrow. So yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. That's all I've got for you today. I'm not going to do any more work on these for today. So normally I would maybe do a bit of like finish whatever we've started. But I'm not going to do that. Tomorrow we'll get started directly with the cross stitch. And I've just noticed I've left out this little finger here. So you can do a little the laced band for that little bit. So yeah, have a lovely, lovely Monday. And yeah, we'll finish the rest tomorrow. Okay? If you have any questions at all, or if you get stuck at any point, please, 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 please message me. Okay? Do not hesitate to be like, I don't get it. And I'm happy to send you a video or whatever I have to do to help you to make these how you want them to look. Okay? So enjoy. Don't forget to tag me at the Barmy Fox and use the hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye.